Hello, everyone. It's that review everyone's been waiting for. The girl version of KGF Chapter 2. I don't know if you can tell that we're doing KGF 2.
We came prepared.
We did. And where did these shirts come from, Elizabeth?
Oh, my mom is just awesome and so sweet, and could sense the excitement building in our little girl group here about the KGF 2 release. So she has a shop on Etsy and online, Midnight Dreary Curios. Excellent. And we can, I'm sure, put a link somewhere. But she does just adorable t-shirts and some home decor, jewelry.
But anyway, so we're going to get down and talk about KGF. This is a spoiler-tastic review because it's been out a while and we don't want to hold back. So we're going to do it. So here we go.
Violence, violence, violence. I don't like it.
Let's talk about KGF. Okay, tell us about your experience going to the theater first. Because we all saw this in the theater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. I saw it like matinee style. It was fine. It was way more crowded than I expected it to be. It was extremely loud. And it was totally fine. There were a lot of people. There were more people in the theater than I thought. I enjoyed it every moment. It was great.
That's really cool. And Elizabeth, how was your movie going experience?
Well, it took moving mountains and hell freezing over for me to be able to get everything in my life babysat for the duration of this very long film.
3 hours.
I'm not mad about 1 minute of it. I have to tell you up front, spoiler on my opinion on this. I am a huge fan of this franchise. But yeah, my theater was about half full as well. I had no idea what to expect. It's kind of all over the place here when you go to see stuff. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, so it's pretty spread out. There are different places you can go. I picked we had 2 theaters showing it, and I have a client whose hair I do that manages the Malco that I went. Shout out Malco. But yeah, so it was fun. It was enough of a crowd to, like, I was only like maybe 4 seats over from a couple that I could audibly hear reacting. I just love the, like, it doesn't even have to be like a full theater screaming, but any reaction that I can hear that's audible, like, I really enjoy and makes me feel like you're at some sort of event and not just staring at a screen, which is always nice. But yeah, we'll get into it. But I have lots of thoughts.
Yes,
and had a really enjoyable time.
And the eventizing of it is because for me, the theater, it was incredibly loud. Like the music was loud. It was like turned up to 11 on this thing. It was so loud. Couldn't believe it. So yeah, so that made it even more eventy because I'm so used to sitting and watching films on my couch that you go to a theater like blown away. So that was an interesting little tidbit. Totally. So I think, as we get into KGF, it starts off with a bang. So we're kind of dropped in the middle of this, and you're like, whoa, we don't see Yash for a while. So we kind of start with this. And so because of that setup, because it's a book written from another guy's point of view who was apparently there at the time that these events were happening, you couldn't really rely. I consider it like an unreliable narrator where you don't really know if any of it's true or how much of it is true. So that's why the sort of overblown, kind of super heroic, crazy, over the top stuff kind of made sense to me in the context of the film, because that's probably what a person writing to kind of create a hero would do.
It was a little tongue-in-cheek in that way too, where it's like you're definitely sitting in a particular perspective and you hear the narration of the story. Like, it is a really fun way to frame a movie and adds a reason for, like you were saying, Kathy, there to be such extreme nature to everything in the film. At one point there, I can't remember which character says it, but I wrote down there was a quote from the film, "The speed will never decelerate." I think they were talking about
oh, that's funny.
Yes.
Rocky. But I wrote it down and was like, neither does this movie. Like, not for 1 second. And I was there for it. Yeah.
That is perfect. Oh my God, that's so funny. I think when Rocky makes his big entrance, which I thought was also hilarious because we haven't seen Rocky yet. They've talked a lot about him, and they have this big meeting. He comes walking in the door, slow motion, woo, like hair blowing, and then they put a big Rocky Star Yash and fire your letters right next to him.
Oh my gosh, I almost lost it. And so
good.
Spoiler, I did not look at the runtime for this film.
I didn't either. And I had a babysitter. I was like texting, like, is it cool if you're there for like another hour? Like, I got an intermission right now, so.
An intermission is a bad sign. It means it's going to go on for another hour and a half.
It starts and he shows up and you're like, you immediately are just, okay, where's this going? Like, what's he going to do now? I was just like waiting. And then he just all of his like one-liner comments and just his mannerisms are just so fantastic.
He literally
so over the top, and I love it.
He styles his hair out. He pushes the hair out of his face at one point with a dead person's hand.
Yes,
he does like, that. That happens in that movie. He's like throwing off these people that he just murdered straight up, smoking them, and like decides real quick before he disposes of this guy that his coif needs a little
brush.
Yeah.
Just fix it. Just a little brush.
I'm like, you ain't gotta fix nothing.
Your hair looks fine all the time.
I was all over all the hair, all the makeup, the costuming. I have so much to say about that.
I was going to say, how was the hair and makeup?
Beautiful. I have like specific. I could flip for days, but there were several pieces that I was particularly drawn to. I loved there was at one point a houndstooth element to one of the saris. Mm-hmm. It was gorgeous, and several of the feature, like when there would be a heavy musical sequence, we get this like change of outfits where I was like, okay, that one. Like there's some key moments in the costuming that we can get into that we're just
love that
chef's kiss.
I love that. Sanjay Dutt's hair, the whole Viking styling, amazing.
Love it,
so good.
And all the detailing on that character.
He was the only one who could really stand up to Yash in this film, I think, because they're so both so charismatic that until then everybody was good, but they kind of they're in the background, But when Yash is on screen, you're not looking at anything else.
Right.
No, that's who you're watching because there's, the
hair and the beard,
fantastic. Because
I love it. I love it. It's like so I kept forgetting exactly what year we were in and kept writing loving this like retro feel, love the lapels, love this like slick Saturday night hair and like Saturday Night Fever. And and they would remind me with like the date and I'd be like, oh, because we are there right now in the history.
I love that too because I love
the cars, all the motors, like all the everything. I was just like
the Mustang, that's my vibe. The tweaked out kit Mustang that they converted. Oh my god, it was just so cool looking.
That was awesome. Yeah,
I love that too.
I do always find it interesting that in KGF and then in this film too, they do kind of take you out of the time period, like very easily. You kind of just are watching this film and you're like, what? Yeah. Things will happen. What year is
Which is kind of nice because some movies you feel a very ham-fisted quality of like all I can see is like the set design. All I can see is the characters' costuming and like they're trying so desperately for this like 50s feel or 70s, whatever it may be. But I know exactly what you mean and that I would see something that would be like old tech that I'd be like, that's right. Yes.
You're like, oh
so
yeah.
Strange.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, I want to address the the lack of female character development, but I do want to say also, I thought it was borderline that he basically kidnaps this woman and takes her off to his castle. She was from the first KGF. That great scene where he finds her out on the street, just falls in love with her immediately, and does all that. The total weird character shift. It was very strange. So he does that and he carries her off. He puts her in a bedroom with flower petals on it. And she's all like, oh no, you're not. And he walks in and goes, nope, I'm not. Bye. And it's like,
what's
the hell?
happening?
So that was weird to me that she's sort of held captive because of the political situation.
I was like, is this going to, of course it is going to dive into like, it's Stockholm Syndrome. Let's be clear on what's happening here. Like, I see what you're looking at, girl, and like, same, me too. Hashtag.
It's like,
but like,
don't kidnap me.
But also me too in the other sense, where it's like, I don't know, this is kind of an abuse of power. Like, maybe don't kidnap them.
I know, don't kidnap the girl. She would have gone with you willingly.
I kept writing sweetheart. Probably. I just called her sweetheart through my whole like note taking because he called her sweetheart in that one scene. And I was like, sweetheart, do you really love him, or is this like some gaslighting? I don't know.
No, she was ready for She just
She
was
was
like,
down for
I'm
it.
ready to just
She's
get
up
out of
for it.
this. Like, it's
Marriage.
fine. That's cool.
It's fine. It's cool. He was giving her time. He gave her space, and she got to read books while he was shooting off rockets and stuff.
It was like
and
Beauty and the Beast, the
Right?
Disney
Yeah.
one.
She was
Totally.
just sort of sitting around the background looking at books and stuff.
Literally, it is 100% just like the premise of Beauty and the Beast. I
Totally.
will stay
So
here and then love you. I promise.
Mhm.
Oh,
Right.
wait,
While you're
right.
out being a
You?
beast.
Question mark. Yeah, in like a span of like whatever 6 weeks.
How long was it?
Happens on reality TV. I guess that's all it takes.
I did appreciate where it's like, oh, it's getting so hot. Can you get me a fan? And he lowers a helicopter down. That was pretty fun.
Right.
There were so many
that's
moments
how
like
Rick-
that were,
It's so dramatic. Right.
Okay, the scene,
it's
right, where
long,
she's
but it's like
sitting
if
on the
men-
steps.
Yes.
Yes. Like they have an aerial shot. She's sitting on the steps.
Mhm.
Her outfit is fabulous. She's reading
Oh,
a
the
book. I
clothes
kept
are
trying
great.
to see, like, what are you reading? Because I want to know. I just want to know, like, what this character would be
I
reading
know.
casually, like, while she's like draping her ball gown on the steps. And Yash or Rocky, he's there. I feel like he's like not feeding her grapes, but something equivalent. It's very like opulent, and yeah, the framing. I was like, this is like Real Housewives,
Yes.
Beverly Hills. Like, I feel very like I know this world. I've been here
I'm
before.
like, where's the crazy? I'm waiting for the. Oh
Right.
wait, there it is.
Let's flip the
There's,
table.
it doesn't
Yeah.
take long for the
Got
crazy
it.
to show up.
Yeah, no, they're all over it.
It was so great.
I think one of my favorite scenes, and I was looking forward to seeing it because it's in the trailer, where he goes to the police station. And then when he, and first of all, I love a couple things about that scene. He goes to the police station because he's missing one bar of gold. He was very upset about this. One of the cops took they called it a biscuit of gold. So they go in there and Rocky comes in and he's like, where's my gold? And they're like, what are you talking about? In the meantime, there's a little kid who's serving everyone tea. He sees Rocky come in and I love his attitude. He walks by and he goes, Rocky, bye.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the
dude.
kids.
Love
just, like,
it.
that's what makes him like mythology. Like it's like
Yes.
it's like everyone knows who he is. All the scenes we have where the kids are like emulating him or pretending or playing that was such a good touch. I really enjoyed that.
Classic folk hero. So then
Right,
after
exactly.
he does this, to punish the police, he walks out, he's ready. And he takes out all the Jeeps and they all just explode and fly in the air. And then when he's done, the gun is so hot, he takes out a cigarette and he lights it on the gun. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
It's pretty cool.
I love that. I don't agree with smoking. It is
right,
bad but that was a cool scene. And he had that cool white, like you were saying, Saturday Night Live looking white suit on.
Oh, I have
Amazing.
many notes about his outfits. Those plaid blazers that kept popping up, I was like, yes. Like, can somebody make this have a moment for real?
Can we bring this all back with the cool suits? And he had the cool belts and everything.
Yes.
And I love like he'd get up there and there's like he's out in the middle of this like mining town and he's out where it's all and he's just perfectly white, no dirt on his suit. And I love his little snarky, like you're saying, the way he delivers a line when he goes up there and he's like, violence, violence, violence. That's like one of my favorite. He just has this sort of sing-songy, snarky attitude.
It's good.
So fun.
It matches the swagger of like the whole pack, like the outfits and the cars and the motorcycle.
Like I always think of that part made me think of just like Magnum PI, kind of just like that.
I totally thought of the Joker, like sexy Joker.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
But not like a bad guy. Yeah.
But I was like, oh no, it's like Burt Reynolds. It
was like Burt Reynolds. Oh my god, he is kind of Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, I dig it.
See that? Oh yeah, Burt Reynolds. The other thing I thought was interesting, going back to the relationship he had with his girlfriend wife, is that no kissing, no sex, no passion, no anything. There was like some dancing and some very romantic, very and just some hugging. And she's like dragging him away where he's like, I guess she's ready, but I heard that he wanted this film to be family friendly and didn't want to have that in it. And I'm like, there's nothing family friendly about this movie. And if you think kids like, that's why I'm like, you're holding back on the romance and the heat.
That's
but
interesting.
You're tearing people apart.
So
that's very strange.
Interesting.
The sheer volume of this would not be appropriate for a child.
That is more of a cultural thing, though, because
yes, it is.
Like the violence is, on the streets, like in India, and it's commonplace. I mean, I remember, like as kids, we would visit my my grandparents, and literally at one point, one summer, I don't even know how old we were, but like My uncle was chasing like some guy who robbed the store across the street, like over rooftops with a machete. I mean, it's like,
Okay.
that's just what happens. So it's like,
Mm.
you know, it's totally fine. So they're like, no, but we don't do sex and we don't.
That is
do
interesting you say that, because in America, like here, I feel like depending where
kind
you
of
are,
reversed.
sex is in the streets. That's what's happening
That's
just
true.
out in the open.
Especially in my neighborhood.
We're just
Well, that
not
was
that.
almost
We're a little
reversed.
jaded about the like. We're like full male nudity,
Mhm.
please.
I
But,
can't count the times to see a citizen like naked man running down the street. I'm like, oh, again.
I mean,
Which is
well.
probably why it's more about, you know, we're geared at like violence in America, right?
Yeah,
like we don't want
totally.
to see that, but we're like, oh, it's totally fine if there's a couple boobs.
Well, there is that sort of hypocrisy, even in America, where violence is okay, but sex is not. You know, it's sort
they're
of.
considered very different taboos.
But I think, you know, just in the tone of the film, with everything turned up to 100, that to just leave out the passion, which is, you know,
Yeah.
it's not like we have to see a graphic sex scene or that it's even just about the women. It's about the passion that Rocky inspires in everyone, let alone this woman. So I feel like we kind of got short shifted on the relationship he had, which I think could have been really interesting,
been.
because
And they
what does the
reference it
woman
a
do
lot.
in this relationship?
Mhm.
Like, how do you
Yeah,
deal
you
with a
never
man
get
who's doing this? Nope, didn't go there at all. It was all about hero worship, which I love how you knew he was a journalist because he wore that weird plaid shirt and looked like a super nerd.
They're
It's
so
like,
coded.
I'm
Like
a
it's like,
journalist.
yeah.
It was like, I want to
There's
be
the
Clark
smart one.
Kent, but I'm not. So here's my plaid shirt. What
I was
am
kind of into
allowed
that character as well. That actor
Totally.
did a good job.
I love that. And you know, it all built up ultimately. It was all building up to that great, you know, final fight scene, because ultimately there are only 3 big fight scenes in this.
And some
Considering it's a American
reveals,
film.
though. I feel like there were definitely some moments of like,
Yes. Yeah,
like
true.
revealing.
Filling in some blanks
Mhm.
from part 1 for sure. And I know that they and I don't know if anyone has agreed, because everyone about the gold, the whole point of the gold.
Mhm.
So I know he made this promise to his mother to be rich and find all the gold. And I get that. That's cool. That's cool. But it started feeling like there was something else going on, because I feel like he was like, I need more gold. So he'd see like they show him this warehouse, like Indiana Jones style, where it just goes on forever, tons of gold. And he goes, I need more gold. I'm like, this can't be just about the promise of gold. There has to be more. Like, and I was sitting there, I think I mentioned this before.
I was
Is he
thinking the
making
same
weapons
thing.
out of gold? Is there some kind of secret thing he's going to do that's not about being rich, but it's something that's going to benefit? Is going to give it to people? And then they just, you know, sank it.
Right.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh,
Like the
but
heart of
like,
the
and that was,
ocean.
like,
You're just like, okay.
the best like foreshadowing. So like, right, it's sinking, they're playing this music, and it's like a nod to what they're doing. And then it's like, I feel like, here's what I think. Spoiler alert. I have a feeling that it was all intentional, so that like chapter 3, you bet your ass someone is already scuba diving
Oh,
down
heck
to
yeah.
get that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Like,
I agree. There was like
it's
sort of
coming back.
Aquaman down there, some kind of
Right.
underwater
Yes.
compound that he's going to be pulled into.
Totally.
yeah.
No, I was messaging you guys while I was in the theater watching.
I love that.
Along
I
with
know,
my
it was the
experience, like
best.
live tweeting you guys. And every time something shocking would happen, I would just be like, no shit, what? Is this real? Tell me this doesn't really happen. Like, oh,
I know, we're like,
she's,
just wait.
she's dead. Okay.
I know
Okay,
you're like,
fine.
he
And then I'm like,
died.
he's dead?
And I'm
He
like,
can't.
watching.
The couple next to me was like, okay, girl. Like I think
down.
for a minute they were like, are you in the wrong movie? And I was like, he can't be dead. And they were like, oh, okay, she got it. Like,
He's
it
not
was
dead.
funny. Like, respect. Got it.
And I
It was
love
legit
too
the
that-
best text ever. I was like,
They were so
oh
good.
shit. I almost was
I'm
like,
glad y'all told me, because like I was like, I'm coming home to my babysitter, and then I was like, do I stay for like he's not dead? And y'all were like, just wait. And I was like,
Just
okay, I
stay
gotta
through the
stay.
credits.
Like I gotta stay. I gotta stay.
when there's the big fight scene and you know who gets killed, not Rocky. You know who gets killed. There's all of a sudden dead silence. No sound.
That was kind of
No
cool.
music. I love
I know.
that. It
I
was like
really
this
It's
big
very
void.
pointed. Yeah,
It
you
was a
felt
very,
it.
very cool effect after all the assault that this movie
So I
has.
mean this in the highest regard of like complimenting the director and editor, like everybody that went into crafting this. It is whatever the exact reverse or inverse of restraint is being
Yes.
used. So it's like gonzo. Like it literally is like, do you like movies? Do you like that scene in a movie where a villain has a real salty monologue right before they do some crazy shit? Do you like the building tension of insanely dramatic music? Yes. Okay, this is for you. Sit down, my friend. Like it literally is like, I love movies so much that I'm just like, how could I not just be thrilled with this? Like, this seriously is like, it has not been since like the Titanic when I was prepubescent and just like, yes, Leo all day and like all the drama that I have felt that just heightened sense of like, I'm in a freaking movie. Like, this is a movie. This is like, I see some sleepy art house horror. I get very lulled into this like A24 of everything, which I absolutely love.
Me too.
But like, what a shock to the system and like in like a fun way to shoot off summer and like the, you know, everybody kind of getting back out into it. I thought it was just, I wanted confetti guns. I was like, I'm feeling this. Like,
it really was. It was like, we're bringing you a spectacle and we're not going to let up.
Yeah. Which I appreciate.
I love
They just keep outdoing themselves. So the first one was loud. This one was twice as loud.
Well, you watch the first one and you're like, if they were to make a sequel and somebody were to tell me it is going to be faster paced, louder, and more action packed, I would have been like, did you see the first one? Like,
no, it's like, it's faster. It's like, what?
Like, what?
It almost reminds me of like the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yes. Like, I had that note down, girl. Yes, I totally did.
So it just continues to
it's like a Fast and Furious and Viking day.
Like
yes. Every scene is maximized.
Bonkers.
Love it.
And it's to like know of it. Like it is just like you thought like the last 10 seconds was crazy. Oh,
but I kind of like at some point I was like, okay, I'm giving up all
we're getting there.
Preconceived. Like I'm not looking for the seams. I'm not
no story.
Like, I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it.
You're like, shut the front door. You've got to be kidding me.
Well, I feel trained
dumping
from the days.
Gold. He's dead.
Yes.
Everybody's dead.
Everybody.
And then it's like, dun dun dun.
I'd love to do dun dun.
Or am I?
Move the boat. Chapter 3.
Chapter the way what? Yeah.
What's it gonna be?
But as a movie fan, like we all are, like, and because they're like this trope and this beat and this, like all the things, all the like beats that you want and action genre films, like they hit them all, and then at a few points take such sharp left turns that it's like I am confused. I feel like you really got me. And like, I'm a pretty experienced moviegoer and was not at all expecting to be like, what?
In a way, you're like, I always thought Rocky was going to be Robin Hood, especially from KGF 1. I figured that was sort of the whole point that you saw all the abuse, right? But yet here he was still like, hoarding all the gold. He did improve everyone's life. He built up the city. I love how they had like he was hiding it from their view, and also they.
When I love mob movies, and they have such a feel here with that type of like power structure and hierarchy.
But he was still living in a huge palace. He was still being the rich guy. He still had all the affects, the clothes, the jewelry, the gorgeous wife, all this stuff going on. So I'm like,
very Tony Soprano.
And they did, and he got that one piece of gold. He just ripped it from got it from the cops. So where is all the gold going?
Well,
like, it's not going back to the people.
This is going to be a setup. I feel like they're planting some seeds, maybe for like 3, where his motivations will be fleshed out in a way that will round that character out and like give us more resolution on the motivation.
Because it is only chapter 2.
It's got to be like that. Can't be all of it, right? Like that has to be a purposeful amount that looked like enough
that he's for some reason needing.
Willing to like part with, because
such a good point.
Spoiler alert, he's not dead, but he wouldn't just let that go. Like,
please don't let him be dead, please.
That's like his character wouldn't allow that. Like, he's
you're right.
We know him to this point, and like we know to trust the development that
he's greedy enough that he wouldn't ever let that happen. So
that's true.
If there wasn't a greater kind of goal,
if there wasn't something, he's up to something.
We're at the beginning of it, not the finish line. I feel like
it's a pretty high risk gambit here, like going out into the ocean with all his gold on that boat with drinking his whatever.
I mean,
out there in his white suit,
worried.
I was sinking into the ocean.
Yeah,
so it's like,
I'm like, you're probably not going to find that, right? Like, there's a current.
Right.
I don't. You know how that works? What's going
There's
on?
going to be
How
a bunch
deep
of
is
scuba
that?
divers down there who are going to grab him, put the mask
Oh,
on him. And they're gonna
If
stay
that
in-
man doesn't have his own whiskey brand or label, that needs to happen.
Oh, that's
I like every time
yeah.
he's swinging that bottle like Captain Jack. I was just like, give this man whatever
him and Ryan
winery
Reynolds
for.
should hook up and like sell
Hook
it
up.
together.
There you
And
go.
then, yeah, they should hook up, and I want to see that.
I would too.
Oh,
That would
same.
sell tickets.
I mean, I want to see the commercial for the alcohol. Is what I mean.
Uh-huh.
yeah, that would be nice too.
Yeah, right.
So that
Just
is
open
our
the house?
review. That's our review of KGF 2, in which we highly enjoyed, I think. So thanks you guys for joining us for our KGF 2, and we got to see it in the theater. We got to see it in the theater.
I
And here we
know,
go.
I'm so
So fun.
excited.
I
See you next
know.
time. I know. Bye.
Bye, y'all.